with when I was wandering around there, they kind of said that it was just super slow. It was just Comic Con Revolution seemed more like a. I think it seemed more like a celebrity con than an actual, comic convention for indie artists and things like that. So that's kind of my rough opinion about Comic Con Revolution because it was. I don't know. I'm personally not interested in coming back again because it just wasn't. It wasn't above it all. I'd say it wasn't adequate. I think so. Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh seriously? Oh yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't an anime convention at all. Don't get that wrong. It was absolutely not an anime convention at all. I mean, there were a few like cosplayers and stuff like that. Like there's this one kid who kind of was hanging at my table a little too long, and I was a little too nice to make him go away. But hey, I made a sale from him. So I stuck with him long enough to make the sale. But overall, it was kind of like, okay, was, I was more inexperienced. Like I think last year was my first ever year tabling ever, like at a comic convention.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't know much about con stuff. So, you know, that's kind of like, okay, what the heck do you do when somebody's just hanging at your table forever? You don't know that until you actually, I don't know, ask people about it.
Well, you do what they do in GameStop, and you let them stay.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, GameStop. I've been hearing so many stories about GameStop. I follow Camelot 331. I love hearing his stuff with the GameStop stuff and the Amazon and everything. Like, holy shit.
I follow him along myself, and it's just fucking amazing. It's one of those things where it's just like I've worked retails before,
Mm.
and that was some crazy shit. And like I'm in a call center now, so I get to work from home. But
Oh, that's nice.
the thing about it is, call center work is not too much different from retail. Is
Mm.
people dehumanize you there as well.
Yeah,
So
that's shitty. Yeah, I used to work nights at Walmart, and I mean, to this day, I consider it the absolute worst job I've ever had. Like, I've worked as a pizza delivery driver. I've worked at a, distribution center. Like, I've worked at FedEx and Macy's distribution,
mhm.
and I've worked as game tester. But I'd say by far Walmart was the absolute worst of the worst with that. Like, holy, like, it poisoned me from ever going to any Walmart ever again. I will never go to Walmart for as long as I live because of that. Because, like,
I see
I,
you're going to be going to Target.
oh yeah, like I now just go to Target and Jewel these days, and I'm just done with Walmart. I mean, I still go to Sam's Club because there's no Costco's in my area, but I hear like there's gonna be one built like closer to the mall in my area, so that's gonna be pretty great. But I don't know
Now,
if I have a membership.
I want to say this, and like we around the Chicagoland area. Now I'm back in Chicago, and did you want to drop where the area? You don't have to drop address and shit like that, but the area that you're in.
Oh, I live out in Joliet, So if you're a Blues Brothers fan, I live out there.
And one of the things with the local comic and art and anime scenes that like our areas do have a lot of great things. I know I was supposed to go to Anime Midwest this year, but I saw you went to Comic Metropolis last year.
Yes. So that's in Lockport.
Mm-hmm.
And that's around, I'd say, 5 minutes away from the main Joliet City. And it's a smaller library convention. It's mostly, I'd say, it's more of a community thing than a real big convention. But it's well run. That I dig it. I like coming there. I have a personal. I'm a bit biased towards libraries. Like, I prefer libraries in general. I'm kind of the guy who really will push to go to a library as much as he can. Like, I love libraries. I work at libraries. I do a bunch of freelance artwork at libraries. I love stumbling across books at libraries. So that's pretty much, So Comicopolis, I believe last year was the first ever time I've tabled at Comicopolis. But the year before that, I actually attended Comicopolis because it was like 20 minutes away from where I lived. So, I stopped by, and there were actually a few of my friends who was tabling at Comicopolis. Brian B-Man, I can't pronounce his last name. But yeah, he makes Soul Chaser Betty.
Yeah.
And, we chat a lot with him.
Actually,
let's see.
Actually, he's the reason why I started going to conventions, because I was in 2008. I went to the last day of the 2018 Anime Midwest, and I was carrying around my own art and shit like that. And I bought one of his books, Girls Gone Savage.
And, yeah, that's the Barbarian book. Yeah.
Yes. And like that's also somebody I've been running into since I've started doing the scene. And like he was like, why, like, just draw the shit, like just draw what you want to draw. And I was like, okay, cool. And it's been one of those things where it's just like, if you go to enough local conventions, you run into some of the same great people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you go to the Maple or the Madison area public library one?
I don't think so. No.
I didn't get any information. Are you attending the Hammond one this year? I know that's one we were in together.
Oh yeah, the Hammond one. Yeah, it's an online one.
Yeah,
actually, it's an online con right now. But yeah, I'm gonna be, I believe, doing a live stream or something where I'm just gonna explain how you make mini comics, and just do a nice fast tutorial about folding up a little mini zine and just going through these super fast rudimentary steps of just basic storytelling, because most of my storytelling knowledge is from Gabe, just talking to him about how the fuck do I make a story. It's like, hey, do Journey June and you'll figure it out easy. And I'm like, yeah, I finished it, but I'm still confused. That's kind of weird. It's the Pizza Man actually did give me a good idea for potential ongoing series, so I do like that.
So let me ask this: do you do the drawings, or do you try to parse out the story first?
Currently, I've been parsing out the story and the script.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I follow. At the moment, I'm following this. Yeah, about Dan Harmon's story circle, right? Where he frequently talks about the general story circle that most stories go through, like the hero's journey and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've mostly been trying to morph a general plot towards that direction at the moment. So far it's interesting because I'm able to get down outlines, but now the new challenge is just the more nuanced stuff, like figuring out dialogue, like actually making distinct voices is now my new writing challenge.
I've heard that about actually having to make the voices of the character in your head before you like come up with like their specific dialogue.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, just while we're just taking a look at your stream at your drawing, so what do you do? The normal. What do you do? The sketch drawing first, and then you bring it to the computer.
Well, for this one, yes, because you know, yeah, these sketches specifically, these were I was drawing in my kitchen because I had the line ideas for a while. Because initially I had let me just show the other side. Let me just drop the sub view with this. Because let's see. Let me just pop it over here. All right, sub view. So I drew this a while ago because I was pretty much in that world building phase of my personal comic, well, now turned game. And these were the rulers of the big cat kingdom. Like, you know, every freaking cat in one kingdom because they're cats and they're dicks like that. And so, you know, lion queen or king and queen of the lion kingdom. And I kind of just wanted to make a wacky dynamic where, you know, the queen is the competent, do everything. I have to do everything while you sit on your lazy ass and do absolutely nothing. So I think there would be some really funny interactions going on with that. And then, you know, slowly and steadily, I'm kind of just building up and figuring out, okay, what is this world going to be about? And funnily enough, that sketch, this is a digital sketch. This sketch is all digital. Like I use my tablet for this sketch. But these sketches are pencil sketches. Like I drew it on paper, then scanned it, then, you know, put them together. Like it's not actually wide like that. This one too. These are just initially pencil sketches, and you know I refined them a little more. Actually, I did do a little bit of digital doctoring, but you probably can't tell because you know I really like some of the brushes. There are a few really good digital brushes.
So,
But
what are you using? Clip Art Studio?
so yeah, I'm currently using a program called Clip Studio Paint, and I personally think it's better than Photoshop. Like, holy shit, it's better than Photoshop. It's cheaper than Photoshop. There's way more functions than Photoshop. And especially for me, it's built for making comics a lot better than Photoshop. There are some things that are kind of, I'd say, nitpicky. Like, ironically, it can't do lettering that well. Like I still would go to Illustrator if I'm doing lettering. But excuse me, so sorry. But in terms of like making panels, organizing your files so that they're ready to export into pages, and well, generally I like how it handles its brush settings and things like that. Like this is the most comfortable I've ever been working digitally ever. Like in the 10 years I've ever drawn, and I'd say, no, in the 10 years I've ever drawn digitally. Like I've been drawing in general for, I guess, all my life. But in terms of drawing digitally, I've only been doing it for, I'd say 10 years, probably like 14 years if you count college. But yeah, maybe having a like Cintiq screen tablet helps a lot too, because I only got my Cintiq last year, so I've been rocking this, and you know it's been actually pretty good with the Cintiq, and Clip Studio Paint in general was just, it's really good. I'm also using brushes that I purchased called Friendin brushes. They're from an artist called Friendin, so I just refer to them as the Friendin brushes. And let me just drop a link for everyone to kind of just buy the brushes and kind of just shill for everyone here.
Now, see, I will say this. I actually am using mostly traditional because I have very little commission. So I have to use traditional. And drop the link
Oh, that's totally
in
fine.
the Zoom chat so I can actually put it on mine as well.
Totally. So yeah, I'm gonna drop it here. Yeah, I actually need to like make a blog post and a blog post on my personal website to kind of just say, oh hey, all of, here's pretty much all of my tools that I'm currently using right now. That's what I'm doing. Mouse says Flyland brushes are good too. Okay, I'll give that a look. Flyland brushes. So I'll probably just look that up too. Flyland brushes.
And you see,
Flyland brushes.
what I use traditional. But I've gone the way of mostly doing acetone markers, and I like.
Are those Copics or are those slightly different?
Oh no, I use the not Walmart, the Michaels brand, Artist Loft. They have a
Okay.
brand that they discontinued, which are really fucking good.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's very hard to find because originally they were about $200. They were like Copic prices, but no one bought them.
Oh
And
shit.
so the ones that were originally like 50 bucks, I'm getting them for, I want to say 20.
Hmm. Well, I bought my Copics piecemeal because I started by buying 5 Copic gray markers at on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and then I slowly and steadily started just building my colors all piecemeal, and slowly and steadily I just built up, I'd say, a collection of. I haven't counted them all actually, but I'm gonna assume it's probably 20 or so markers because I got 5 neutral grays,
Mm-hmm.
5 warm grays, 5 cool grays. Then I think another 10 colored ones, like full colored ones. And then I built up an assortment of actual actual like select colors and stuff like that. Hey King Sus, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just chatting a little, so don't mind me. But yeah, with Copics, it's interesting because I do like that I can refill them. That's probably my number one favorite thing about Copics is that I can just refill them whenever I want. But the thing is, you gotta really take care of them because they can dry out easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're alcohol markers, so they can go out pretty easy. I've used Prismacolor markers actually before. Like my art school gave them out by default for like an absorbently expensive price because my school was a for-profit hellhole. And
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think we were gonna start talking about politics this early this early in the stream.
I think in general, I think it's more of a just me griping about college in general, I'd say. But yeah, the other art supplies, it's mainly yeah, I mean, I still work traditionally whenever I'm away from my tablet or I'm traveling. And what I'm doing, I use brush pens like the Pentel Pocket Brush.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I use for just general inking. Sometimes, yeah, just general inking. I moved on to working with actual Sable brushes for just full on inking comics when I still ink comics traditionally. I actually haven't worked traditionally in comics in a month so far, so that's kind of been interesting. Another thing, let's see. I have a whole bunch of pencils. Like I have a bunch of mechanical pencils. I have like the Pentel. What are they called? The Pentel. Let me go look at my pencil real quick. So yeah, Pentel Graph Gear pencil. It's right here. Oh, you probably can't see.
No, because I'm only seeing your screen.
Yeah.
So
King Sus wants to know like who's on the other side of my stream. So I guess you can just reintroduce yourself for everyone on my stream and anyone who's just joining the stream right now.
well, I am Crimson60620. I'm an artist myself. I've been drawing for about 20 years now, but serious over the last 5 years. I also am a YouTuber, a streamer, a political commentary, and part time, megalomaniac.
Part-time megalomaniac.
Yeah,
You
part
can't
time.
really be a megalomaniac part-time, really. Like that's impossible to do, I'd say.
But when you win their hearts and minds, you're always working.
Yeah, boy.
And
Really, yeah, it's
somewhat a
been real fun.
philosopher.
Yeah. Really? I always call that overthinking.
And you would be right. I think one of my quotes, I don't know if you've ever heard of Soren Kierkegaard, but he was an absurdist. But he was like, you can do or don't do, married, get married, kill yourself or don't kill yourself. The question is, whatever you do, you're going to regret it. The key of philosophy is to just find out why. So I'll live my life by that principle. Now, my question is, what was that initial push to make you start actually putting more of your work out there? Because I'm steady trying to spark that with a lot of people. Who are just like, look, you have great talent. Let people know.
So, so I think the initial giant push that actually pushed me towards actually doing conventions and all that stuff was when I was showing off my portfolio and stuff like that, like I was working on my first comic, Shirley's Day, and it took me like 5 years because I'd never made a comic ever. And while I was working on the comic, I was pretty much going to conventions because my mom's friend told me that I need to, stop. Well, I wouldn't say stop moping, but I mope so much that, she has a family friend, or actually she's a coworker, and she goes to Comic Cons. Like her comic friend goes to like C2E2 pretty frequently, and she was just constantly nudging me to go out to C2E2 and meet up and socialize and stuff like that. I was like, nah. Oh no, wait, no. Before C2E2, there was actually a smaller library called the Galaxy Comics and Fantasy Art Expo. Sorry about that. I'm confusing my timelines actually, but they're both relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I showed my portfolio to a guy named Mikey Babinski, and he totally dug my pencil art. Like he was really excited about my penciling. All right, see you, Mouse. Great stopping by. But yeah, so I showed my portfolio to him, and he was just explaining, how he was just telling me, hey, you should make an actual comic. You should continue this, and just use these characters that you have in your portfolios and sketchbooks to actually make a comic. I think your cartoon style would really work. I was like, okay. And I never really paid too much mind until I'd say a month later, I think. I don't remember the exact timeline after that. But I'd say I started working on Shirley's Day, I'd say in that same year that I met Mikey Babinski. So I believe I was pencil drawing it. And then C2E2 was coming up, and my family friend was telling me, hey, we should stop by C2E2 and hang out. And I was like, okay, I guess. I don't know why I'm nervous about going to C2E2, but I decided to go because at least I could show my portfolio again like I did at Galaxy. It's tough to get all the way out to C2E2 because it's all the way in Chicago, but I took a train to get there.
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I actually got there. Well, I don't think you can really go to a convention late, but I got there later than I wanted to because I was still trying to figure out how to get to McCormick Place from Joliet. And I had to like take the train to like the Stock Stadium, then take like the Green Line to McCormick.
Yeah, it's a lot easier now. It's a lot easier now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, you can take the train to Union Station, and then take the Metro Electric, and you're
Okay.
there. Yeah, no, ask me how I know. I've just been around.
Maybe the blue would work better.
Now, and that kind of mirrors the story I was telling. Like, yeah, I went there. Like, yeah, it was like, dude, you have good art. And I was like, no, I don't have good art. My next question is, if why do you do the art? I'm gonna put it like that. Why do you do it? Do you do it for money? Do you do it for fame? Do you do it simply for expression? Do you do it for all three above? Do you do it like I do it for the reason I do it, to rule and change the world?
I do it for the memes mostly. No. So I think what really got me into comics was I read Captain Underpants like when I was a kid. Like my big influences is Captain Underpants and Jeff Smith's Bone. If you like know your indie comics, like Jeff Smith's Bone is a really amazing indie comic. If you haven't read Jeff Smith's Bone, freaking read it right now. And yeah, I really like that. And I was like, I think Captain Underpants mainly showed me how to make comics because, in those books, they explain how you make comics and how you make like flip books too. So it was just really cool with Captain Underpants. And when I was a kid, me and my friend made a bunch of these flip books inspired by Captain Underpants.
So this is a quick side note. Were you disappointed with the movie that they came out with?
I actually still haven't seen that movie, actually.
I haven't seen it.
But I know it's on Netflix, but I still haven't seen it yet. But I know they probably won't be, but I am hopeful for it because it's animated, and that's probably my biggest litmus test for just being hopeful is it's freaking animated, so it's bound to at least not suck that badly. That's the bare minimum, I'd say. Like, if you take a cartoon thing and at least animate it, it's going to suck much, much less than if you just did a freaking live action thing and you're trying to like explain the retard logic of a cartoon thing, because that's never going to work. Like with the superhero stuff, it's still kind of disappointing because they pretty much have to nerf them really badly for them to actually work in live action.
Yeah.
Like they have to make Thor seem more like an alien and more Norse god. Like I do really dig more god characters. Like it did, like a lot of the Marvel stuff, even if it's completely inaccurate, it did get me into movies. Like watching the Spider-Man cartoons and watching the movies did get me into reading Spider-Man comics.
I mean, but you got to remember they're doing more of the 1610 universe than the 626, the 616. So, and it's not even 1610. It's just like probably like 1612. Like the MCU is like 1612. However, the new Spider-Man the Spider-Man PS4 game and the Avengers game are actually supposed to be in the same universe, share the same universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's even a comment that he makes. He's like, "Yeah, I heard the Avengers. This is Avengers Tower, like in the PS4 Spider-Man. I heard this is Avengers Tower. I heard they're in San Francisco right now, which is a reference to the Square game.
Okay, which is odd because it's actually no, it's Sony slightly, but it was kind of weird to me. That's a weird thing. This is the first I'm hearing of this actually.
Yeah, all of the Marvel video games, like the new era Marvel video games, are supposed to be in the same universe.
Now, should I keep this white? I like the blue. I'm thinking out loud here. Don't mind
No,
me.
no worries, no worries. That's the benefit of having digital because once I commit to a color, I'm committed to that motherfucking color. But one of the things that I dislike about the new Avengers game that's coming up is all of the. It just seems like a microtransaction hell coming up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It does look like it's like I saw those alternate costumes. I was like, no. It looks awful. And you telling me that Spider-Man's also supposed to be in that universe? I'm like, really?
That's why
Because
Sony is getting
yeah,
Spider Man. That's why Sony is getting Spider Man.
no, no, that's why they're fighting over it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, yeah, it's a weird thing with that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, so this sort of doesn't really affect me that much. Like, I want to play it because it looks really good, especially like that normal Spider-Man, because they're pretty much just adapting wacky Arkham combat in there, and they're making it make a little more sense than just Batman, because it's the Spider Sense makes a lot more sense than just Batman suddenly knows that a criminal's hitting him with a pipe or a criminal's suddenly gonna shoot him. Like, at least Spider-Man has, that sixth sense. Like, he's practically, he can see the future.
Clairvoyant,
And
yeah.
Yeah.
So
With Batman, it's Batman wins because he's Batman.
so let me ask, Marvel or DC? What's your favorite?
That's actually a tougher call for me because I actually grew up with the DC cartoons, and I really like the DC cartoons, like the Bruce Timm stuff and all that. And I mean, I remember the '90s radioactive spider blood, and I dug that.
You know they are the first shared universe because everything that the '90s Marvel cartoons did were all one shared universe.
Oh
Even the
yeah, that's
Hulk,
very true. Because
even like the only time because even the latest I think they went is when they had that first Avengers cartoon.
Oh yeah, there was an Avengers cartoon actually.
Yeah,
There was an Avengers cartoon. There was a Fantastic Four cartoon. There was an Iron Man cartoon. There was a Hulk cartoon.
yes.
And I think they were saying that they wanted a Thor cartoon, but I don't know if anything went forward with that. There was I know
Silver
Ghost
Surfer.
Rider showed up in. I
They
know
even had,
Ghost.
they even had Silver Surfer because he spawned off after like Galactus was pissed off at him after the Fantastic Four one.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, he crossed. Yeah, and then obviously X-Men. My God, I forgot about the X-Men. I am. Oh God, I'm falling for that like freaking Disney propaganda because I'm like, I've completely forgotten about the X-Men, but nobody should forget about the X-Men. The reason you're forgetting about the X-Men is because they don't want you to remember the X-Men.
But you know what the thing about it is with that X-Men cartoon, like I saw the interviews behind it and it was like, yeah, we like they are simultaneously a good reason of how they did the cartoon to save money by doing the recaps. But like shows like and I'm gonna say it, shows like Naruto kind of takes that recap thing to the whole next level.
Oh yeah,
But like it was a cost saving measure by doing previously on X Men, and they had good long storylines. What was another like the Iron Man show was actually awesome, and I think that was right when Marvel was trying to rebound from the bankruptcy. But let's be
oh yeah,
honest,
that bankruptcy. Yeah,
if DC wasn't owned by Warner Brothers, they would have been bankrupt too.
yeah, that's very true. Like the '90s seemed like a real shit show. I'd say it's kind of funny because the first time I'd say the second time I was taking up X-Men was I was reading Chris Claremont's like giant freaking X-Men run in like those black and white essential X-Men comics. I don't know if you know about like those big fat black and white phone book size comic collections where it pretty much just collects giant freaking comic runs of the entire thing. Like I personally think it's the best thing they ever done because it's all there and you don't even have to hunt for it. Like I wish people kept doing that, actually, just making those big old the essential X-Men or the essential Spider-Man, like even up to the modern stuff, because I think at the time I was way more used to graphic novels than the floppies. Like even to this day, I hate reading floppies, even though I freaking sell floppies. Buy my comics, kids. But I I prefer graphic novels in general because it's all there, it's all collected. I don't have to hunt for them and guess and deal with a pull list and risk tearing them. I think that was probably my biggest thing, is just risking tearing them. It probably was a non-issue, but I still just felt like, oh man, I'll tear this if I let this go.
So I get exactly what you're saying. Like in the 90s, the reason why we had the comic bust is because of the speculation bubble versus actually like the trade comic books where they would actually get that whole story arc. Yeah, of course. And that's
trade comic books, indie comics, like again, Bone and what's it called? The Mask and the birth of Image Comics and stuff like that. Like a lot of indie comics are just getting bigger because of the 90s and stuff like that.
Milestone.
Like Johnny the Homicidal. Milestone and all that stuff. You were seeing Static Shock showing up. Static Shock, Icon. There's also this other girl. She was like more of a jetpack girl. She was pretty cool. I forget her name though.
One of the things that I bet Marvel wish they wouldn't have had done, because Static Shock would be awesome in the Marvel universe, but they turned them down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Milestone was originally supposed to go to Marvel. He was supposed to be a mutant. But,
Well, that's pretty fucking mind-blowing, I'd say.
What is another one? And, it's just like, when you look at I gotta admit, when I don't read comics like physical copies, I may go on different sites and like read them or just watch the YouTube retelling through different people's perspective. Because you could, like, for example, I watch Comics Explained, but I also watch Dope Spill and Comic Historian, because like each one of them miss out parts. But I also may go to different sites that may not exactly be authorized to like do things like read manga.
Okay. Yeah. Another reason why I'm so used to like having those collected things was because also at the time I read a lot of manga mostly. Like, I was reading early Naruto. I was reading like early Dragon Ball. I was reading like Gintama and Death Note and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think Gintama actually showed up a little later, but whatever. I was just reading manga more often than...
I'm not going to be ashamed to admit I actually read the whole Sailor Moon manga.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a lot better than the TV shows in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I've actually been interested in just actually catching up and watching Sailor Moon and Inuyasha and all the other quote-unquote girly mangas. Because, like, okay, it was there. People did really like it. And I think I'm old enough to not give a hell about cringy manga, because there's way worse shit out there.
Like, I did not know the woman who wrote Sailor Moon and the man who wrote Yu Yu Hakusho are, like, married.
Oh, yeah. I also remember the... what's his name? The One Piece artist. He married a cosplayer. Like a very notable cosplayer. Probably like a Japanese cosplayer. I don't know. It's kind of like one of those interesting deals. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Now,
I also remember I also remember like hearing that I don't know if you know about the newest Netflix anime called Beastars. It's like pretty much just a new furry anime. But yeah,
You talking about the
apparently the
you're talking about the Netflix anime that's gonna spawn a whole bunch of furries like Sonic
yeah,
and
pretty
like
much.
Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it yet, but a lot of my friends are kind of like constantly talking about it, telling me, "Hey, you should read it." And I'm like, "I'll read it later, and I'll watch it later." It's like hanging on my Netflix, like, "Yeah, you'll watch it, but I want to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space instead." But yeah, the artist who made the Beastars manga, apparently she's also the daughter of the artist who made Baki the Grappler, and it's this super battle manga ass battle manga. Like it goes through all the elaborate steps of actual fighting.
I think
Like
I've heard that
if you
before.
like fighting and really good functional muscles, like he emphasizes muscles for proper function. Like he gives a lot of fuck about muscles with like Baki the Grappler. Like he even goes through like the logic of, oh hey, if you're big and if you're scrawny and abby, that's mostly just aesthetic muscles. You're better off being like wide and fatter because you're more of a weightlifter, and that's going to help you function. You'll have better core that way. And he like goes through stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. So that's also on my wacky list of, read it now because, this is really good.
Yeah. See, what really got me started into like manga is actually just anime. I remember I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
if you were
definitely.
I don't know if you're I
Yeah, I
didn't
know
ask you how old you
Toonami
were.
and stuff like that.
No, 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 no. I don't know how
Oh
old you
really?
are. But there was a show called Japanimation that used to come on Chicago Channel 62. And
Hmm.
they used to show some of the darkest anime there was. Now they
How
censored
dark are
it
we
out.
talking?
Doom
Like which
Metropolis.
animes?
Doomed
Metropolis. Oh
no,
shit.
Doomed Metropolis.
Huh. Never heard of that one.
Or what was another one? Vampire Hunter D.
Oh
Um
shit, really?
yeah. And it would come on like at 11 o'clock at night, like on a Saturday night, and they would just show a 2 hour block.
That's fucking rad. Like have you ever seen like the actual original novel Vampire Hunter D with like the illustrations by Yoshitaka Amano, the Final Fantasy artist?
No.
It's really good. It's like it's well basically, it's about a I think it's like a vampire bounty hunter in a way,
Yeah,
I think.
I know
But yeah,
he's
the
a
art just looks really good.
it's Alucard basically.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
that's I hate to say it like that.
It's
It's
kind of funny
Alucard.
because I think Helsing kind of like ripped that off.
Well, because you got to
Sort of.
remember, it's like it's either Dracula, either it's Alucard is either his son or like a weaker form of Dracula. Like
Yeah.
look at Castlevania.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard that in other places before. It's just like anime has a weird fascination with Dracula. Either
Oh
he's
yeah.
like
Vampires are cool.
exactly, and the Western vampires are cool versus like the Eastern vampires.
Yeah, Eastern vampires, they just suck people's anuses. They aren't that cool.
I think it's pronounced Horus, but
Yeah.
now another one that they showed. I don't know if you've ever heard of Wicked City.
Nope, I haven't.
Of course, we have all the classic animes that they showed. Like they showed us a few movies of Evangelion.
Huh.
Um,
I've never seen Evangelion ever. And I hear like that's the gigantic, everybody should watch Evangelion type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, if I can actually find it.
it's on Netflix.
Oh, it is. But I hear
Yes.
like it's not the complete thing.
No, it's on Netflix, and they do the end of Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
And what was another one? Of course, like the cheesy harem anime Tenchimoto. I fucking
Oh, yeah, I
love the
remember that
original
one.
one. Not the universe or not the Tenchi in Love. The original Tenchimoto where he was like space Jesus, like next god of the universe, and everybody was related to him, and everybody like gushed over him, both figuratively and literally. And then
I have vague memories about Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah.
Super vague memories.
What are some other animes that like? I used to watch stuff like Tri-Blood, Trigun, some of those more fantasy type things, but futuristic almost. Like animes now, like I know I like watch like some of the trash animes or what the sophisticated people call trash anime, like Sword Art Online. It's not
My
a
friends
bad.
watch Sword Art.
It's not a bad anime. It could be better in places. Of course, I watched Naruto, both the original and Shippuden. I actually like.
It's kind of interesting because I did want to reread that manga because I hear like it ends in a way because I think I stopped reading. I think I stopped just consuming Naruto ever since. I think it stopped showing up on Toonami. I think because I think the last time I saw Naruto was the near end of the Chunin exam, like just when Sasuke disappeared.
Oh, you didn't go into the Shippuden time frame. Oh, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, so I was like playing catch up with that. So, like recently, I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the Naruto manga and see if I can't find Bleach in the library because I want to see how that train crashes. Oh shit! I need to save real quick.
Wait.
Computer nearly crashed.
How far did you get into Bleach?
I was in the very, very beginning of Bleach. Like,
oh wow!
I think the first time, what's his name, Chad or whatever his name is, the like that muscle guy.
Oh wow!
I know later on he gets like this arm or whatever, but it was still super early. Like, I think it was just when, what's his name, Ichigo finds out Rukia was taken back to Soul Society for her trial. Like, I'm in the very, very beginning of Bleach. And I lost track of Bleach. And I was like, okay, I should catch back on Bleach because it ends terribly. So I want to see exactly why.
Actually, it doesn't end bad, and they're going to bring it up. But the thing about it, they bring up the end. But the thing about it is, as you know with fans, anybody that has fans, they want something new, but the same thing.
Yeah.
And
I always heard that, like, the mangaka was just constantly fighting with his editor. Like, he was just constantly fighting with him.
And he constantly was getting sick because of basically the work.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody can be a Toriyama.
Oh, yeah. And even Toriyama was kind of just bullshitting his way to victory, really.
But you gotta remember, Toriyama would back when the mangas used to come out every week, he would wait till the last 2 days and push shit out.
Yeah, exactly. He is amazing at bullshitting his way to victory. Like, I mean, a lot of people obviously crap on his writing, but I sort of commend that a little as like one artist to another because it's like, you know, sometimes I do feel like, man, if I could, I'm a massive perfectionist myself, and Toriyama does not give a fuck. He'll fucking draw right in there, and he'll just do it because time is money. Like, he will get it done, and it still looks half decent enough that, like,
the famous Super Saiyan story. What color are you gonna make his hair? I don't know. Blonde, because we don't have time to ink it. It's like
see, it's like quick thinking like that makes freaking genius, iconic things like that. sure, it ends up just getting abused and dumb, but
Like, I don't know. It's like, ooh, I got a great idea. Let's show how strong these people are by power levels. And then, like, 2 issues later, we totally throw that shit out the window.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because he just had deadlines, and his editor was like, "Hey, how can we make the kids like? How can we make the kids like Dragon Ball? I don't know, power levels, I guess."
no.
And he's like, "Yeah,
Favorite part, like, I got tired of drawing his tail, so I just made him lose it. Wait, what?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's really funny."
I wanted to draw better fight scenes, so I made him an adult. Wait, what? But he has short arms. Yeah, but it just looks better if he has longer arms. So we're gonna make him an adult, and broke the anime, cartoon, whatever you want to call it, of the kids staying the kids forever. It's like, oh no, we're just gonna make you an adult, make it easier to fight.
Yeah, like his laziness breeds innovation. That's engineer mind. He's a freaking engineer. Like he has the brain of an engineer. Engineers are smart. They think of smart solutions because they're effing lazy most of the time. That's kind of my weird mythology that I always think about when I think of engineers, because I have a bunch of friends who kind of like do a lot of engineering type of things, like they build stuff, and 9 times out of 10 they're usually like doing it because they don't give a fuck.
Oh,
They just want to just do it just to do it.
this guy at my job, he was like, so we're gonna like he was in engineering class, and his engineering teacher actually says his engineering teacher was like, hey, drop an egg off of like a certain floor in the John Hancock building, right? So everybody try to come up with these elaborated ways of the egg not crashing. You know what he did?
They do.
Built the parachute. Just built a parachute. Like,
Fuck it.
Like, fuck it.
It's not stupid if it works. That is the motto that I need to follow. That's Buddhist monk level, like, calmness. Like, it's not stupid if it works. And I wish I wasn't as, like, that's the kind of innovation in, I'd say, intelligence that I hope to aspire to. Because I kind of want to be a little more fast and loose with myself, like in general, like life stuff and all that stuff. And, you know, you just have these, I'd say, you're just seeing all these guys just able to have their shit together, mainly because they give slightly less of a fuck than the next guy, you know? So it's kind of funny with that.
What is the phrase? Fail faster?
Yeah, exactly. Like, these guys are really good at failing fast because they don't have time to actually care who thinks of them.
Now, see, we've been on stream for the last, hour or so, and this looks fucking awesome, man. I am looking at your screen, and it looks fucking awesome.
Thanks a bunch. Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, these days I've been trying to get more into working off my actual pencils because I've been looking at a bunch of other artists, and you know, they have really, really clean line art, and I'm like, okay, I want to at least have some better line art for my art because I feel self-conscious about it. So I'm like constantly chasing smaller and smaller lines, and I was like, okay, my inking's incredibly stiff. Why don't I try just drawing on the pencil itself and see how that goes, and just built it out real quickly. And yeah, so far some people have been thinking positively about this, like, or at least receiving it more positively. And I'm continuing it with some of my stuff. I'm still like doing some experiment stuff. There's still a few things that I'll still ink. Like this one I'm currently working on because this
Mm-hmm.
was actually traditionally inked. And this big commission, this was actually, I'm inking this, but I'm using gray lines for this actually.
Yeah, I
Like I'm
see.
inking it in gray. So it's not just a complete black line.
So
And
what I've actually done, because I'm still using traditional, is I'm like incredibly cheap. So what I actually did was go to the dollar store, get the $4 mechanical pencils, get their little drawing paper, do my
mm,
sketching on that, and I have a light pad,
mm,
which I translate all my sketch once I get it done to either a Bristol or mixed media. Mostly does Bristol, do Bristol, and I have clean lines. And when I'm actually, cause like I hate the hard black lines myself,
yeah.
because using acetone markers, and you've known this from using Copics, if you get it just right, it can look as if you're using watercolor,
Mm. Oh yeah.
especially if you blend it really well. And that's one of my strong suits. It can look almost as if you're looking watercolor.
Really
And
nice.
the thing about it is, I started using fine liners instead of actually using black markers or the what do you call it, the graphite on the final drawing. I use fine liners
Mm.
to match the colors that I'm going to actually use, and it's actually turned out well for me. I don't know about going to a digital format. If I get more resources myself, I'm going to actually go more to a digital format. But like, man, I'm having fun using traditional.
Well, if you ever want to like try out digital, there's a tablet called the Wacom One, which is like it's fairly cheap. It's also their like newest one, and it's one of their new cheaper ones. What I'm trying to find out the price of it right now, but it's not like a screen tablet, but it's a nice starter. You put it on the, you can draw on the thing while looking at the screen straight forward. And that's a good starter tablet
I
for
think I know
just,
what you're wanting. What you're talking about. It's probably
oh,
about
yeah.
100. Um, I did actually try to demo one, and to be honest with you, it was a size of a fucking index card, and I did not have any good fun. I did not have any good times with that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just, suggesting it because it seemed like it would be cheaper
No,
because it's
no,
like $60 and,
no. I know the one you're talking about. But the one I had, it was like $30 on Amazon, and
okay.
it was not
Yeah,
fun
the
at
one I'm
all.
about to link to you is like, oh, just drop it here in the Zoom call. But yeah, this one on Amazon is like $60, like 59.95. So, it's a nice cheap starter tablet, I'd say. I could probably recommend it because it seems like it's similar to some bamboo tablets because they used to have a tablet called Bamboo, the Wacom Bamboo,
Hmm.
and that's how they used to. Those were the beginner starter tablets. So, when I started learning digital art, I used a Wacom Bamboo, and I forget, GIMP. Yeah, I used GIMP. I also used a really old. Well, it's not old at the time. It wasn't old, but I used Macromedia Flash 5 to do some of my drawing, and I used to try and animate back then with Flash 5, and it was pretty all right, but I never really like made anything or like I never posted anything. So I used to. Yeah, that was pretty much the gist of my digital thing, but I was still hanging on to traditional art because I didn't understand the concept of pen pressure or brush settings and things like that. I was kind of just lost in general.
So, how much practice do you think you did with digital art before you became comfortable?
Uh, I'll say 5 years. I'll say that much. Because I was mostly working digitally in college because all of my peers were working digitally in college. And like they were able to make full blown concept art looking art, like full blown. They could paint and stuff. It looked like, concept art books from Uncharted and things like that. Like it looked like that. And I was like, oh, is that what good art is? I should probably get a tablet so my art can look a little better. I was kind of dope, insecure and stuff like that. So, I learned how to use one of the Intuos tablets. And then later I purchased my own Intuos, like a large ass freaking size tablet that could barely fit in my bag. Like I had to get a whole separate bag just to fit it. And and I was working with that because I was like, okay, because I was taught in figure drawing to draw with my arm and just draw really large. So I was like, okay, I'll get the largest tablet I have because I was taught to draw large. And I'd say overall it was sort of a wasted purpose, or at least in the context of now, because I don't have much space at the moment.
So let me ask you this: I'm just looking at your style. What would you say most influenced you, the Eastern style of art or Western?
I'd say that's a tougher question because many people say that my art looks like Disney style, and other people say that my art looks anime style. But I'd say since I consume a lot of RPGs, like a lot of my art influences is like Legend of Zelda and Nintendo games, I'd say Eastern art styles probably influences me a little more because, video games are mostly in that Eastern style. So I'll just say that Eastern styles inspire me more.
So what's your favorite video game?
I love Zelda. I freaking love Legend of Zelda stuff. These days, Breath of the Wild is my current favorite Zelda. But before Breath of the Wild, I really liked. Actually, I really liked the original Zelda 1. Actually, like it's the one game that I keep replaying.
I will say
there was a collection, like there was a Zelda collection back in the GameCube days where it came with a demo of Wind Waker, but it also came with Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. And so I was playing all those games at the same time.
So I will say this. Zelda 1 was okay. Zelda 2, I don't know what LSD fuel trip they were on. It must have been all the cocaine they made from selling Zelda 1. But Link into the Past is probably my favorite. I haven't played any other ones past Link into the Past, and I'll tell you why I have an attachment to Link into the Past. So there's this magazine called Nintendo Power, where they actually did the story of Link into the Past. Like
Tetsuya Hirata. No, Terada, I think. Tetsuya Terada.
They also did Mario World as well. So they did both of them. And it was literally it was Link and Zelda like you've never known them before.
Oh yeah.
And in the end, like he became the protector of the Triforce and they broke up.
Oh, that's depressing actually.
She was like, while we were going through it, you rescued me, we fell in love, but ever since, and it was like a few years after they won. It was like ever since you became the wielder of the Triforce, the protector of the Triforce, you've been so distant, and we can't keep doing this, Link. And she's like, goodbye, Link.
It sounds like the ending to Ocarina too. The ending of Ocarina of Time was pretty bittersweet as well, because basically Zelda had to send Link back to his own timeline so he could actually relive his childhood. And I'd say the timeline's kind of different now because, in the context of Majora's Mask, Navi either disappeared or died. They're really vague about it. And I guess young Link was kind of like hunting for her or something like that. It's weird. But Majora's Mask is really good at being vague because when they were making Majora's Mask, they were pretty much on a fucking tight deadline and weren't really thinking too hard about the actual details.
When it's like when they try to make direct sequels to Legend of Zelda, they fuck it up.
Actually, they actually had a pretty good track record of it because Majora's Mask and A Link Between Worlds were pretty good. Like the only real bad sequels.
I'm not saying bad, but they don't keep the same continuity. They always should basically try to do.
Oh yeah, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like the Mega Man problem. The continuity between Mega Man and Mega Man X.
Oh yeah, that. Well, I think it's a little easier to get Mega Man and Mega Man X because those two continuities are so far apart from each other that they have a lot of room to kind of just bullshit their way away from the actual details of what actually happened. Like I was legit thinking that Mega Man 10, like when they were making that, was going to actually link Mega Man X and Mega Man together, like Mega Man Classic and all that.
They always,
obviously the Roman numeral, you'd think, okay, Mega Man X, Mega Man 10, they're actually going to do it, but they don't really. They kind of cowered out on it. Even in Mega Man 9, they kind of like suggest, oh, hey, there's the schematics for Zero.
Right, but they always link Zero. They never link X. That's what it is. They always link Zero. It's like it's a theory that like was happening between Wily and Light were in a small area because all the rest of the world didn't know about robots, and like they Zero woke up the first time he woke up and killed everybody.
And wasn't the point of the robot masters was that they were supposed to be like service robots, so people should know about the robots,
right? And so in X's timeline they didn't, so it was like it may have been a thing where they were off in one part of the world, and because when they found X, it was just a total wasteland. It was everything around them was dead, and they had an epiphany that every Zero came to life, killed everybody except for Mega Man, and Mega Man, because of everything that happened, became vile in the original game.
That's weird, because like in the context of the like general storyline stuff, like there was a few like anime movies about Mega Man X where it's like, okay, they had a civilization, they had a few robots, but they didn't really have really good AI robots until they found X.
Right.
Zero. And then they built like all the actual good robots, like all the Mavericks and the Reploids and stuff like that.
But remember, Rock was a literal good AI. Rock and Roll, they of course Rock and Roll. But they had good AI, but like nobody else knew about it. Some shit went down, and it was probably Zero. Zero probably came through and just wiped every fucking thing out. Because you got to remember, Zero isn't just based on Proto Man. He's also based on Mega Man.
Zero wasn't a robot master as Dr. I forget which Mega Man Zero game or whatever, but Dr. Wily did say that Zero was supposed to like be way better than any robot master because he really wanted to outdo Dr. Light with this.
Yeah, he was based on Proto Man, Mega Man, and Bass. That's who Zero was. He was based on all three of them, and he was not fucking around. He came through and just annihilated shit. That was a suspicion. He came through and just it's like, isn't that cute? You have an X, but you have a Mega Buster. Here, let me show you what a real one's about.
Oh yeah, like Zero was way more advanced in everything, and he just Dr. Light pretty much had to reply in kind. Like The story of Mega Man is essentially two scientists having an arms war against each other. Just having a private arms war against each other, like a private arms race, and it's just comical.
So what do you think of the current state of video games that's happening right now?
I don't think about the current state of video games. That's probably a weird non-answer, but that's kind of the truth. Like I'm making my own video game, and that's kind of like me saying, I'm doing my own thing. Like I have a Switch, but I don't play it that often. Like I don't play video games often ever since I graduated college. Well, actually, I'd say even ever since I started college. Like I've been more satisfied drawing than actually playing video games these days. That I don't really play video games. I still keep up with some of them though. Like I know I've been keeping my eyes on the latest releases and stuff like that. I still listen to game podcasts like Giant Bomb and all that stuff. But I'd say in terms of the actual game industry, obviously the DLC stuff's really bad. And obviously they were trying to rip off TF2's success because, Valve makes money because they're really good at making hats.
Not only that, they make money for the Steam platform. Now, it's actually pretty interesting. The game that you're playing, that you're making, are you going to try to put it on any of the major platforms?
Obviously, we're going to start on PC.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I mean, like, are you going to try to put it on Steam, Indiegogo, GOG?
It's likely that we're probably going to start on itch.io because, it's more for, the more indie plucky guys. Mm-hmm. And plus you can set it up for free for anyone who wants to. Itch.io has a more looser atmosphere than Steam, I'd say. But we still haven't decided yet because we're still freaking making it. We're taking it one step at a time. But I'd say we're obviously going to put on PC first because, it's a PC game. But obviously, since the Game Boy is static, we're going to try and get it on the Switch or whatever Nintendo console because it's a freaking Game Boy type game. It's tough to really go without that Game Boy game. So that's kind of the massive hope. In terms of other consoles, we'll see if we get development kits,
Well, Nintendo right now is actually reaching out to a lot of indie studios. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's pretty much the reason why I did get a Switch was because there are so many indie studios just doing really well. There were so many games that I actually legit wanted to play, and plus the portability. Like I could play in my car, and it was really great.
Well, that's what actually I would say helped kick PlayStation off this generation. They didn't have any of their big budget IPs, but the indies help fill the goal. Now, if we can only get Microsoft to want to make games instead of making services, but that's a different story. That kind of goes into the
with it's weird with Xbox because Xbox doesn't make games that appeal to me at all. Nothing in Xbox's library really appeals to me. They're all shooters mostly.
You mean Gears, Halo, and Forza?
Yeah. I've played a little bit of Halo 1 with a friend, but he was kind of an asshole co-op partner who kept shooting me in the back. So you know what, Halo sucks. I don't want to play it. My friends tried to get me into Minecraft, but I was playing it on the PC, and I was like, I don't really get the appeal. So it kind of bounced off of me. Forza, I've never played Forza, but I might play Forza. I think I was put off by the rumor. Well, they're not rumors; it's the real thing. The fact that it was more of a realistic racing game. I was like, I kind of prefer the arcadey style racing. So I hear Forza Horizon's more arcadey.
It is.
So I'll probably see if I can't find it.
See, you would
unlike whatever the Microsoft Service Store is, because I have Windows 10. So
you would have hated my favorite racing game, Gran
which
Turismo.
Gran Turismo, I've heard of Gran Turismo.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was a crazy motherfucker that used to do the 2 hour races.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so used to games like Hydro Thunder and California Rush in like the bowling alley arcades and things like that. That I was like, this is, the other games, like I feel like GTA has really awful driving controls. I can't stand GTA's driving. Like I don't know how anyone could like GTA's driving.
Ironically, that's not the worst driving game that I've actually played.
Really?
No, really, for real. I actually have a game called Far Cry. Far
Oh
Cry.
really?
Yes, that
Oh yeah, I've
driving
heard
is
of that. Yeah.
horrible. One of the things that I've actually done is like I'm a big world build. I'm a big like give me Legos and I will build you a fucking world. Like I
Hmm.
did get into Minecraft really heavy, but it was a game called Conan Exiles that I fucking love. Oh my
It's a Conan
god.
the Barbarian game. Okay.
And you actually can summon gods. Like you can summon like the different gods in the game.
Like you can summon Crom and all that stuff.
No, Crom is the only one. Is the only god that doesn't hear prayers.
To hell with him.
Exactly, exactly. And they had you can actually summon Set.
Really
You have a
nice.
giant serpent avatar. Mithra. You can summon Dacon, which is basically hell. Like you
Mm.
literally summon you've seen how hell is depicted. Like imagine a really nice, beautiful, tall, 200-foot woman on one
Mm.
half and a
Oh
walking
yeah,
skeleton
yeah.
on the other.
You're
Yeah,
talking about like Norse hell.
yeah.
Okay.
You
Okay.
literally summon hell. What was
Yeah.
another one? You can actually summon it's this one like flying skull with smoke coming out of it. Yeah. So
Mm.
that was actually a good one. One of the games that I play a lot because I just like fucking space is Elite Dangerous. But I just like what's killing me about gaming now is it's the new gold rush and microtransactions.
Oh
It
yeah,
it
definitely.
disgusts me.
Yeah, obviously. Oh yeah. It's not even just the microtransactions. I think it's also just that constant arms race for graphics and stuff like that. Like with that Unreal Engine, what's it, 6 or 5? I forget.
Yeah, it's five.
I mean, obviously, more graphics fidelity means that, it's way easier for, having alternate art styles and things like that. But it's kind of like
I'm gonna.
nobody really uses it to make interesting art styles. Like, I'll never see a really good impressionism game or a cubism game or anything like that.
So one of the things that bothers me about the push for realism and the art, the fidelity of video games, it causes motherfucking game companies, and I'm gonna say it like fucking Naughty Dog or game companies like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
crunching and stuff. That's another thing that also has been bothering me at game companies. No, and I think that's probably game culture in general. I'd say is they're not allowed to shrink their scale. Like they're
mm-hmm.
never given an opportunity to just shrink their scale for a bit to teach their less experienced guys, to actually make their shit. Like if it's a disappointing game, like game players are gonna be like, oh, they just sent their B team. Like, yes, they sent their B team. They sent their B team so they can become the A team. What the hell's wrong with you? And it's I kind of have a little these days. I kind of give probably more of a pass to games than I'd say most gamers would say
Mm-hmm.
that I should. Like in terms of like Last of Us 2, I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, I'll probably give that more of a pass because it's likely they had really shitty deadlines and they had no idea what to actually do. Like I'm more sympathetic to the making and the development of games because I used to be a game tester, and
Mm-hmm.
these days I'm a game developer. But you know, I inundated myself with the actual making of games. And all that experience has kind of taught me about video games way more than any game review or any time in college, I'd say.
I would
And
say
it put so much perspective to me that I now am more likely to give even a really bad game a free pass because I'm able to think about the developers who pretty much had to crunch or listen to some manager who had no fucking clue how games are made, but they're just giving money because, oh, it's popular with the kids. My son likes it. That means every kid likes it. And dot, dot, dot.
But see, that's the thing. The game development, I think, is being, at the same time written into the ground and hamstringed by the game, the business part of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I'd say that's par for the case with most businesses, I'd say. Like, if you have so many businesses overstepping their bounds and just ignoring people who are actually on the ground floor making their stupid thing happen. Like, that's pretty much just going to end up being worse for everyone involved. Because basically, what it boils down to is management babying you and telling you how to do your own job that you spent years of your life training to do.
And not only that, asking for impossible shit at the same time.
Oh yeah. And not even just impossible shit. Like asking for impossible shit and saying that they're right and that they know better than the person who has done this for way longer, for way better. And it's been it's not good, I'd say. I mean, I can't really put it shortly other than the suits really aren't good at not middle managing everything to the ground because they have too much of a vested interest and they're like, but I want the money now. How come it isn't making Fortnite money yet? I want Fortnite money. It needs to make money now.
What
when
was
they don't
it?
realize, hey, video games take a long time. Video games are a miracle of computer programming. Like, in the grand scheme of computer programming, like in comparison to like something like software development and stuff like that, like game development is wizardry because not only are you trying to think up things like rendering algorithms, mechanics, you're simulating physics, you're simulating enemy AI and behavior and things like that. You're doing so many math calculations. You're making the visual renderer so you'll know how the light bounces. You're trying to figure out how the colors will display on the screen. You're figuring out the screen size of things in comparison, like, and I'm probably just talking about like PC and stuff like that. You also have to factor in things like console development. Who else has their own PC settings? What kind of graphics card they're using?
Yes. The minimal specs. I was about to throw in minimal specs.
Yeah, the minimal, the what's it? The least common denominator, probably like the
most common,
probably like the lowest common denominator, stuff like that. Like people complain about, graphics kind of like not being good enough when they're the ones running these $400 PCs. And they don't even realize that they're like one of 12 guys who have these $400 PC or $4 million PCs. $400, that's easy money. But yeah, game developers and, game makers and, the people who fund this stuff, they're trying to sell to that soccer mom who wants to just buy a $200 box for their kids so they'll shut up for 5 minutes. That's who they're selling to.
I think what
actually makes them real money. And they're not the only ones in the world who play video games, because that's also another thing that most like big game people don't realize, is that you're not the center of the earth with this kind of stuff. There's so many people.
You're telling me it's not just for me?
Yeah,
it's not just for me?
Yes.
I think
people can kind of like argue that it's a shitty argument, like especially the whole it's only for kids, it's not for you. But well, what did you expect? You just suddenly showed up as an audience for something that they were probably not factoring in, because I'm sure the actual devs were like, yeah, we should make this as high fidelity as possible, but the managers in the suits are probably not even going to know or care. They're like, get this out because we want our money now.
You know what?
They're not thinking about that.
So there is a YouTuber named Jim Sterling, and years ago he says management and actual publishers, they actually think of only, when they think video games, they only think of 3 games, and they tell you how long it was. They think everything should be Clash of Clans, Call of Duty, or Candy Crush. Oh, yeah. Those are the only 3 games that they know.
Oh yeah.
And they would like, why isn't it making this much money? And what pisses me off, especially about the microtransactions, like Activision. Activision. Fuck them. Oh, we made record profits this quarter, and here we're laying off 800 workers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a real crap show. And the worst part is, it's very difficult to kind of just do something about it, because yeah, you can boycott it, but the guy who just wants the next Madden is not going to know or care. They just want the next Madden, or they want the next FIFA.
What's the next roster update?
Yeah, like they might like complain a little about, oh hey, this roster kind of like cost me a lot of money. How come my FIFA bucks aren't working? Mm-hmm. But it's really difficult to just convince the guy who just buys a sports game every year because he just wants to relax from work to not buy it and to spend the money on something else like Netflix or something. Because they're not athletic enough to play the actual sport themselves, and they're not gonna just, there's not going to be a sports game on every day. Like even LeBron James needs to rest every once in a while. So there can't be constant sports every day. So,
so you're telling me, you're telling me that people waste just as much time watching sports games as they would complain about somebody who plays video games? What?
Oh yeah.
What? No. Sports are more reputable to watch that all day versus playing video games because reasons.
No. Actually, it's watching people play video games. That's not as reputable.
Says the Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. I remember that freaking controversy with Ninja, like complaining about the sports ball. Why don't they just kick it good? I don't know. Why don't you shoot the Fortnite gun? Why don't you shoot your gun better, Ninja? Why don't you shoot it? Why don't you shoot more accurately?
I watched the sports. Oh look, he kicked a strike.
No, it's a field goal. I think he was complaining about field goal kickers. Oh yeah, I'll admit that I used to be like that too until I tried football in high school. I became friends with a kicker, and he kind of explained to me how it actually works, and it's actually fucking hard to kick a football, even 20 yards and stuff like that, because one, you gotta kick it right so it doesn't freaking spin and wobble all over the place.
Exactly. And
two, you gotta factor in the wind and the weather. So that's a whole nother thing. Plus, if you're in an actual game, you have to factor in the motherfucker who's trying to block your kick. So that's a whole nother thing that you got to deal with.
Or the crowd that's trying to miss,
kicker.
that's trying to throw off the count so you can miss the snap.
Oh yeah. So yeah, kicking, like, you know, most other jobs, is obviously a job. Even art obviously is a job, even though nobody wants to pay for it. But it is a harder job than people think. It's not simply just painting pretty colors and dreaming about destiny and all the forces of the universe. It's figuring out when you're an artist, you have to study history. You have to study visual physics, like visual light and stuff like that. Like you kind of have to know practically everything to be able to draw it, because it actually takes a surprising amount of discipline to get really good with drawing. Because essentially, you're probably, like, especially if you're making comics and stuff like that, you're your own fashion designer. You're your own, like, you're your own historian. You're your own like scientist and physicist, because you have to study visual light. That's a physics thing. You're your own photographer, because photography is also a whole different discipline. Like you have to be able to study light and exposure and things like that. You'll probably have to be your own florist if you're drawing landscapes and making them up as you go. You'll probably have to do a little bit of architecture. And if you're making a comic about certain subjects, you probably will need to do the basic research on just how to do certain subjects, like especially guns. People are anal retentive about movies and comics that just have really bad gun play and trigger discipline and stuff like that.
You know,
guns
the funny
and
thing,
swords and all that stuff. Yeah.
The funny thing about it is when you was listing that shit, well, I'm going through my head thinking like, wait a minute, I hate to learn this shit, I hate to learn that shit.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, and the funniest thing about it, I it's a video on my YouTube channel where I literally go in and I try to somebody do a commission, and I was one of those people that, you know, this was actually recent. I didn't require a down payment for a commission. So I did the work. Before I actually did it, I did a line art. I was like, hey, how is this? I got to go ahead to go. When it came to payment, oh, this doesn't look right. I don't like this style. Wait, what? The style that I have out here, literally, this is the style that you saw my sample drawings were. Yeah, but I don't like the cartoony style. Excuse me? Excuse me. and so, like, I was like, I actually still have a picture. So a couple weeks go by. Well, I talked to my painter, and they said that they can use that to do the painting. Cool beans. But before they do that, could you fix the nose? Nah, pay me for pay me half of the cost. What? But you know what? Now that I look at it, the eyes are off. Yeah, You thought you was gonna get a free picture. Nah, that's not how we play.
Oh yeah.
And man, like people value art but don't want to spend money for it.
Oh yeah.
It's like the video game things. Why don't they just do it for the love of the art? Because love of the art can't pay a fucking bill.
Yes. Passion does not pay my bills, my dude. So you need to pay me because I'm out of money and I need to pay rent, and my landlord will break my knees. Well, I don't have a landlord. I live with my parents. Whatever. But yeah, like, as much, like, I think the perception that arts are just kids making pretty pictures is, I think that's also another thing that's probably kind of, I don't know if I could say ruining the art world, but kind of just messing it up for more artists, is that you have a lot of these teenagers who are doing commissions for pennies.
Right.
because, well, even $20 is a lot of money for a teenager with no money or house or kids or bills to pay and stuff like that. Like, they don't have any expenses. But if an adult wanted to pretty much take commissions and things like that, they would have to significantly lower their prices and double their work, and to double their workload, because people are used to the cheaper prices from, those teenagers and stuff like that, because they don't know the proper rates of that stuff. Then you combine that with international artists who have the cheaper cost of living out there. And since the US dollar is worth a lot more compared to their, like, I guess, like, say, Mexico and stuff like that, like the Mexican peso and things like that, since it fluctuates so much. I don't know if it still fluctuates, but, the US dollar is worth way more than the peso. And so, a Mexican artist will get way more money, even though it's less money in the US. It's like way more money in Mexico. So,
I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had like my ultimate dream, I would destroy the market for artists. And the reason why I say that, because my ultimate dream is to have people be more expressive and bring their creation to the forefront, where art is valuable. I'm not gonna lie, but I want people to stop seeing art as this ivory tower. But then in my perfect world, we would have socialism where you would have basic needs as a right. So I don't know if that's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you want to like have that UBI and stuff like that.
Well, not even a UBI. Like, we
really?
all know humans need housing. We all know humans need food.
Yes.
Why do we live in a world where we have enough food and housing to house and feed everyone, but half the world is starving and homeless?
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
So, like, yeah, like, my realistic goal is I actually want to do a kind of an art league, where I would actually, if somebody gave me like a windfall of $3 to $10 million, I would literally buy a studio where I would allow for people to come in, not even rent it, but like a community studio. It was like, hey, you need to work on art. This is your studio. You just bring your own supplies.
Well, it's not like it doesn't exist. Like, there's Water Street Studio out in Chicago. Wait, no. Well, yes. No, it's Pal and Chisel out in Chicago. And they kind of just do that. They have like their own figure drawing sessions, plus they have gallery shows and things like that. So they sort of do that in a way. Like, their person there, he kind of does that for, his stuff. And I know about a Water Street Studios, but I think that's more of a gallery than an actual art collection, art league, stuff like that. But, it does exist, so it's not impossible to do.
Right. Another
But
thing,
just a matter of I'd say either A, getting the patrons and stuff. Well, not just patrons, but just getting people to, fund it. Because obviously we're not going to have that socialist system for a long while. So we kind of have to bear with it, because outside of violent radical revolution,
which we are very close to if people aren't careful. But anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But you know what? One of my fun goals that I really want to accomplish. So remember how you were saying that when you went to the Chicago Comic Con Revolution, how much did you pay for the table fee? It was supposed to be like $200, right?
Yeah. And me and my friend split it in half.
Yeah, I spent the whole $200. Or you know how they have these big cons where you basically, as an artist, pay to present. How about this? How about having a co-opt con? Instead of you actually paying this this group of people, like instead of having this one person getting paid for you as an artist to be able to have the permission to sell your arts at this con, a co-op of artists get together and says, hey, we're renting out this hotel hall, this hotel room hall, and the people that come and visit don't come in and pay for admission. They just come in and buy your art.
Oh, yeah, there have been a few things like that. That's actually how the old zine culture functioned. Actually, like actually, the super early comic conventions worked like that, I believe, because obviously it was just a collection of nerds like renting out a hotel room and just sharing comics, talk about comics, all that jazz. And so,
but it became corporatized.
Yeah, because things don't just stay obscure and non-mainstream. Like that's how punk's not dead.
Yes.
Punk will never die. It's incapable of dying.
It's not dead yet, but we're gonna do a great job of trying to kill
it. Yeah. No, I think like if people still have that sense of personal charity and community, the will to kind of just do it themselves, like this weird individualism's a bit strong to say, but kind of like the personal drive to go away from themselves and have the will to just pull other people up with them instead of just being all fuck you got mine and just taking your ball and running.
I say it like this.
Being willing to just give that helping hand.
I say it like this.
Definitely. As long as there are people out there with the helping hand, it's easy.
I say it like this. It's never the whole...
That's kind of how I tackle...
You never want to do the work of actually trying to...
My teaching.
You never want to do the work of actually trying to do your work and somebody else's work. The work is actually getting a change of mindset to believe like, hey, you can actually have selfish intentions and foster a group of people working together. You can be selfish and still want to work together in a group because their success actually helps yours. And I think that's a mindset that we need to tackle with people that want more social change. Not that, your selfish mindset is bad. Like, no, let's use that mindset of you wanted to make yourself excel and tie it to somebody else excelling too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I am, like whenever people ask me art questions, I usually will almost always answer them because one, I like it when people ask me my expert opinion, and two, I've been in that situation where I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, and I want to help someone out and get them out of that, situation of confusion by just helping them and, just showing them how I could tackle that problem and, try to teach them to try to nudge them to the right direction and, convince them that, hey, this is how I think, but this may not necessarily be how you think. So I'm going to try and teach you how to access that mindset that you would need to go to hunt for your path. I'd say it's a weird guru thing that, I don't want it to be a guru thing, but it's just me trying to, it's kind of like teaching a man to fish, like you can show them how to draw a thing, but they're never really going to put it to mind until you explain why to draw a thing. That's why usually when somebody's asking me, about like how I would tackle like finding a certain reference, usually my first question is, all right, what's the story? Or, okay, what kind of references have you looked for? Or what is it like? What's the existing thing like? What are you currently influenced by?
I'm going to use a point that if you pick up Bleach again, you would actually recognize. There's a scene where after Ichigo gets like a more stronger version of his sword, his Zanpakuto. And he was like, yeah, when I was training with Kisuke, he can only tell me the stances. He can only tell me what to do with fighting with a sword. That's all he can teach me. But who really taught me how to use Zangetsu, which is his Zanpakuto's name, is Zangetsu. I can only teach you so much. You have to be that teacher and how you apply it.
Mm.
And that's the thing. You can only give some people so much information because if you tell them what to do, how to do it, when to do it, exactly what steps to take, well then you're not teaching somebody to reach their full potential. You're teaching
Basically, you're
people how
just
to
teaching them how to like
reach
be a
your
drone.
yeah,
You're like
your potential.
you're making an RC character basically,
Mm-hmm.
when you should be teaching them how to think. Well, not how to think, but how to solve problems.
You're
Like
teaching
what?
them. You had it right, teaching them how to think, not what to think.
Yeah,
But it has been almost 2 hours. Oh my god, I didn't realize it was. It's been this long.
yeah.
Um, we're gonna have to do this again.
Oh yeah, totally. This was fun.
Uh, I am first. Thank you for allowing me to like impose on your stream. Like this, the picture of the queen that you've been working on. It actually. I know you're probably not gonna say this, but it almost looks complete to my eyes. Maybe because of the pullback, but
Mm.
it actually looks wonderful. I'm gonna have to do some of my art streams sometime soon.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's yeah. I should probably invest in figuring out how I can like multi-stream or something like that because it would probably we'd probably benefit from like figure out a multi-stream system. I don't know how Twitch does its multi-stream system, but I know Picardo can do multi-stream systems if you like pay their service fee. It's kind of weird with Picardo, but with their service fee, they let you do more together, like simul.
Well, I have Restream, and they let you simul stream. Did I lose you? I think Ryan's computer crashed. Well, guys, I'm gonna be heading off today. I want to thank Ryan for coming on the stream and allowing me on his. Yep, he crashed. That was fortuitous. Thank everybody who watched today, and you guys definitely like, share, subscribe. Hit Ryan's channels in the description on my YouTube channel. And wow, I have two cameras. Hey, um, and thank you guys for watching. You enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.